Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome back to all the participants. Participants, as you are aware, we are focusing on Azure native DevOps using Azure DevOps as a service. So we will continue the Azure DevOps discussion participants further. So right now, I am inside my Azure DevOps organization. And as part of the previous discussion, we have seen major components of Azure DevOps involving organization management, involving billing, involving subscriptions. So it's time for us to go ahead and start now considering the technical implementation of our project. And as part of the previous session, we also have seen how project management is done into Azure DevOps, where epics are created, stories are assigned, tasks are given, and there will be a board management where you can see what is the progress of your project towards project management. So now it's time for us to go ahead and start thinking that we are associated with the project and we are given a project. So participants, it all starts by hosting your repository. As you are all aware that in a project pipeline, when it comes to DevOps pipeline backed up by the CI/CD, it all starts by the developer writing the code and getting the code hosted at a place. Right now, you guys can see there is a version control that I've created. So how to create it? It's very simple. Go ahead and create a new folder and file. Your repo gets started, or you can just go ahead and clone a copy of it. You can start adding the code. So let me go ahead and show you a cloned copy of it on my desktop. Yeah, you can open in Visual Studio Code. I think it's taking the other way. So let's do one thing. Instead of spending time on this part, let's go ahead and clone this repo via HTTPS credentials. I'm making a copy of my project. Git clone. Yeah, the project is ready now. I'll open this project under my same code. I just used it. So let me just go ahead and show you participants. Simple code. And I will just go ahead and keep the same code. So I want to show you participants, if I want to go ahead and connect to this repo, can I go ahead and make the commits as a developer?
Yes.
Let's confirm the same. Let's go ahead and run the git commands, git add, git commit, git push. It's not opening up. Let me open up other terminal, new terminal. Yeah, now it has opened the terminal. I made some changes. So let's go ahead and say git git. So guys, it looks like it's taking time. I'll one more time run a new terminal. think it's taking time. Let's not waste time on this. Let's open directly a CMD. So in order to run the commands, I will use the CMD only. To Git, can you add all these changes? It will say, hey, you're not in a Git repo. My repo is under the name of beta 1. So let me go to my repo to beta 1 and say Git, can you add all the changes? Git, I would like to go ahead and do a commit. Latest code changes that I've done. Git, push these changes from my side towards upwards, and the branch should be master in that case. Git push -u upwards, origin branch should be master in that case. Done. It's done now. So now I have successfully done the changes into the version control. You should be able to see the changes now. Yeah, you see that now the changes have come. So if you want to see the commits that you have done from previous commit to the, so just now I have done a change, latest code changes I have done. These are the latest changes that were done by me. Clear everyone? Are we good? Participants, are we good? The latest changes are now getting accompanied into our project, beta 1. Participants, everyone, are we good? Now, what is the next stage, participants, after this project code is done? What is the next stage in the pipeline?
Build.
Build. So let's go ahead and build the project. So the next step is to build the project. For this, we have to go ahead and use build pipelines. We generally use our build pipelines. So in this scenario, you can clearly see pipelines coming in, and as part of it, I'm focusing on the build pipeline. Automate your build and release process using our wizard and go from code to cloud hosted within minutes. Yeah, I'm interested in creating a pipeline. So it is asking, tell me where is your code? In this current scenario, my code is sitting in Azure private repositories. And the good thing is it supports other cloud providers as well. It also provides the other version controls. So at this moment, let's pick Azure repo, the name of the repo. Now it is asking me, what is your pipeline configuration? So here it says, Maven, build your Java project and run your test cases with Apache Maven. Cool. Package your Java project web app to Linux on Azure app. So here, if you go ahead and choose the first one, what it will do, it will go ahead and write a pipeline in the form of a YAML for you. If you go back one more time, if you go ahead and ask it, I want to go ahead and build a project. So it will ask you, what is your build project that you want to? So it is asking Maven package Java project web app to Linux on Azure. So build your Java project and deploy it to Azure Linux as a web app. That means Web app is your deploy environment. So it is asking me, what is your subscription? As of my subscription is concerned, this is my subscription pay as you go model. So in this current scenario, I don't have any pay, what do you call it as, I don't have any web app. So let me go ahead and show you what is basically a web app is all about. So in this current scenario, it is asking, do you have any web apps in your environment where you want to deploy? Participants, do we have any web apps? It says, no, I couldn't find any web apps in your environment. Yes, absolutely. I don't have any web app running in. So what I'll do, participants, is that I will go ahead and cancel this option, and I will go ahead and create my web app in Microsoft Azure Cloud Platform. So what exactly is web app? So participants, web app in the sense, it's a PaaS service offering from Azure Cloud Platform. So welcome to Azure Cloud Platform services offering, which are app services. So we have seen till date IaaS platform services involving VMs. Using VMs we have created. Now it's time for us to go ahead and do deployments using PaaS, platform as service, PaaS models. So that's one service that you get to see is app service. So it says, if you want to look at the app service, the definition right now, we don't have any app services to display, but what exactly it is: create, build, deploy, and manage powerful web, mobile, and API apps for employees or customers using a single backend. Oh, is that build standards based, build standards based web apps and APIs using .NET, Java, Node.js, PHP, and Python. That's good, real good. So participants, then what are we waiting for? We want to go ahead and build our web apps where we can deploy our application. So let's go ahead and hit create. I want to create something. What is that I want to create? I want to create a web app. So let me tell you people how you can create your own web app. So app service web app lets you to quickly build, deploy, and enterprise grade web apps on your running on any platform. So my platform currently is Java. So it is telling me that it will take care of performance, scalability, security, and compliance requirements while fully managing the platform to perform infrastructure maintenance. Okay, so it's cool for me now. So I'm going to use my pay-as-you-go model, my resource group as Kumar resource group, and it is asking me to go ahead and give a name for it. So I'll go ahead and give a name called SSAD Cloud Web App. And what I want to do, participants, is that I want to show you how pipelines can be delivered, right? CD pipeline. Let's do one thing. Let's make it this as our dev environment. Dev for our dev resources. For example, I want to go ahead and keep this as my dev environment. So here my platform will be called over this URL. And it's a code. Yes, it is a code that I want to supply. What is that code you want to supply? I want to go ahead and supply Java code. But participants, we have already written the Java code. We want to deploy this into environment. So what should we have, participants? What should we have? Latest version of Java. Into the Java, what should we have, participants? What environment are you expecting?
Tomcat.
Now you got the point. I want my environment not only ready with Java, I want to deploy, right? What should I have into my environment? Java plus Apache Tomcat. See that Apache Tomcat, it is telling, I will make Tomcat ready for you. You deploy your application. Are you able to understand platform now, everyone? Participants, are you able to relate now platform? In infrastructure, we create our virtual machine We deploy our virtual machine, we install Tomcat, we install Java, we install Maven. But here in web app, it will go ahead and create your server for you. It will deploy the server for you. It will install Java for you. It will install Tomcat for you. Everything it will create. Is that okay for you people? Is that okay for everyone? Participants, are we good? At this moment, are we good? Okay. Moving from there, it is asking me the operating system. I will continue with Linux. It is asking me which region you want. Let's go ahead and continue the region. As part of the region, I would like to go ahead and keep it as part of East US region. And I also want to check which region my organization is. All resources, my DevOps organizations are part of which region? Central US. So let's do one thing. Let's remain in Central US. It's not that you should only one region. Just for the purpose of making it easier, I have used Central US. Otherwise, any other region is also fine. Next, Linux plan. It is asking me what is the plan that you want. Participants, you have to be very careful here because this is where cost will be checked. So a service plan is nothing but you can visualize it as what is the server configuration that you want to use that Azure should provision for you, in which you will run Java, Tomcat, your application. You'll do deployment into that server. That is what is called service plan, application service plan. Okay, it is asking me to go ahead and create my own service plan in Central US and the sizes. But this is going to be very costly. So we can go ahead and bring down the size, saying that, hey, I'm not running any production workloads at this moment. This is not for production. This is just for the purpose of practice. Give me a simple space for me to practice. So it is F1 that you can use, participants. You can use F1 for free in your scenario. I will use a little above than that, which is B1. B1 in the sense I will get, a compute series, which is of A series. I can scale up to 3 instances. For you participants, you should be using 1 GB free. This is free pricing tier. For me, I'm going to use a little larger size, which is, I can scale up to 3 instances. Here you cannot scale. It's only 1 instance that will be given. Memory is shared for you. Storage is 1, but in my case, I want to go ahead and use some additional resources just for the purpose of demonstration. So I'll apply these changes. Basic, I'm using B1. Zone redundancy is not enabled here. So how do you want to go ahead and do a deployment into? I will just keep these options disabled at this moment. I will proceed further with regards to networking. It's off. Monitoring is also off. And I would like to go ahead and do a review for this application to be created. My application is created here. So participants, that simple it is to create a web app in Azure Cloud. Similarly, participants, what I want to do is I want to also go ahead and create another application similar to what I have created as a web app. I want to create another web app, keeping in mind maybe I want to go ahead and push my production. So same resource group, instead of dev, I'm saying prod-ssad cloud web app. For a dev, it was dev, now it is production. Same real-time scenario, 17. It's Tomcat 10 I will use, Linux, Central US. I would like to go ahead and change the size to, once again, 100 units. It is costly for me, guys. Deployment, no deployments. I don't want to use GitHub Actions to be used for the deployment. I don't want to use any network addition at this moment. Tags, do a review and create it. My dev environment is created, participants. Done. So production environment is also creating. So there are two environments that I have. One is dev environment, other one is production environment. Both are web apps in this scenario. Are you able to relate now, participants? Hello? So it's like this. I have two environments into my account. Let me show you the clear picture, participants. I have two environments now into my Azure cloud. In Azure cloud, I have two environments. One environment is dev web app and the other one is prod web app. So this is my dev environment and this is my prod environment. Now I want to have a pipeline. Okay, that pipeline should pull the code from Azure repo, build that repo. It should go and build it. When it comes to deployment, I want to deploy into dev. If once dev is done, I will release that same code into prod. So this is what is the idea for CI/CD. Continuously, we are integrating our changes and deploying into multiple environments, CD, multiple environments. Okay, so participants, are we good now? Shall we go ahead and release the code now via Azure DevOps? Shall we go ahead and release into? Now let's continue. So even production environment is also ready. Prod environment is also ready. Dev environment is ready. Under the app services, there are two apps: dev service and app service. Both are in central US. Okay, now let's go to Azure DevOps and let's confirm Azure DevOps. Do you see any environments in your account? Yeah, now it is able to see. So let me just first go ahead and do a release into dev environment. So participants, this is the easiest way. But what I want to show you people is one more time, I will show you step by step so that you can relate with this. So first thing is repo we have our repo. And in that repo, we have a simple hello world Java code written in JSP. So I want to go ahead and build the pipelines with Azure. Next step is to build the pipelines. Create a pipeline. So what is our code? Where is our code? Our code is sitting in our version control. And let me show you other pipelines so that you will understand it. So it says where you want to deploy. I want to deploy via Maven. So this will only build your project and run your test cases. That's all. But this pipeline, I want something more out of it. What is that more? I want to go ahead and build that application. And I also want to go ahead and release that application. I want to go ahead and do a release. So here we can go ahead and release into our environment. I want to go ahead and release into our environment. It will ask me, can you log into your Azure account? Logging into my Azure account. Now it is giving me two options, dev and prod. So I've selected first dev. So it is giving me some configuration in the form of a YAML file. Let's look at the YAML file. Configuring resources and generating the YAML code. So wait for a minute, participants, it will tell you the YAML code. Oh, is that cool? Great. Now I have a review your pipeline where I am able to get a pipeline. But at this moment, it is only going to deploy into one environment. That's not the plan I have. I want to have two environments handled as part of a release pipeline. See, this is something which is one done. Your job is done. After this, if I go ahead and release, my job is done. Thank you guys. We are done for the day. But the problem is we have two environments. One is dev and the one is prod. That means we should plan a release pipeline where I should also be able to release the code. That is where the next stage comes in called releases, release pipelines. I want to go ahead and release the project. So let me go ahead and tell you people, this pipeline is even powerful than just you getting deployed. Now I want to go ahead and design a pipeline where I want to pull the code from Azure repo, build it using Azure pipelines, and release via the Azure pipelines into Azure Web Apps. That's really cool. See, Azure App Service deployment. Deploy your application to Azure App Services, choose from web app or deploy a Java application to any of this is fine in our scenario. So let's go ahead and deploy a Java application. So it is asking, what do you want to go ahead and do a deployment into? I want to go ahead and do a deployment into. What is that you want to go ahead and do a deployment into? I want to go ahead and deployment into a stage. So let's do one thing. Let's remain on one stage and give a stage. This is my dev-release that I want to do. I'm giving a name for this. And as part of the dev release, what makes your dev release? What do you want to go ahead and do a dev release? It is asking you. So this is my Azure DevOps release pipeline, the name of the pipeline that I'm giving. It's the name of the pipeline. And as part of this, I'm targeting my first stage, which is the release. Where should I release into? I should release into my subscription. So this is my subscription. Where is my subscription? Available Azure subscription. So it says, hey, as an Azure DevOps, I want to go ahead and control your subscription. Can you please authorize me? Yes, I'll authorize you. Go ahead and talk to my account. It's asking, go ahead, can you give me access to your account? Who is asking? Azure DevOps is asking, I want to go ahead and log into your account, or please go ahead and give me access to your account. Please allow me to authorize Azure DevOps. So I authorized it. Okay. Service connection creation operation failed. Service connection with the name already exists. Okay, you can see it. Okay, it is already existing. VCD. Let me double check. It is already existing. Yeah, VCD, it is already existing. So authorization is already there. Okay, cool. So it is telling me, what is your app that you want to deploy? I want to go ahead and deploy an application into my Linux environment. Do you see any Linux environment apps? I'll do a refresh. Hopefully it should be able to find it. No, it is unable to find it. Let's quickly.
I think
Yeah,
you didn't save that in the pipelines.
yes, let me go ahead and Azure on Linux machine. Can you go ahead and give me those two results? It is not able to list. We'll do one thing. We'll unlink all the parameters and let's start one more time. Let's deploy into Azure. And now this time, one is done. Service name. Let me do it one more time for the release pipeline. I want to go ahead and use this one. Let's try with this one. Maybe This should help a little easier. So first thing I want to go ahead and target, or let's do one thing step by step. First, pipeline name. Let's do a name of the. This is my Azure DevOps release pipeline that I want to target. Okay, it's a pipeline where I will build some artifact and it will go ahead and should trigger the stages. The first stage is dev stage. In that dev, I have a release process that I want to target. And as part of it, I have certain jobs in it where I want to do a deployment of the application, dev release. It's already authorized, so we shouldn't be having any issues. Pay as you go model, and let's go ahead and check on Linux machine. Can you give me my apps? Okay. Now, participants, if this is an issue, let's do one thing. Let's unlink all the resources. And what I will do, I'll go ahead and say, hey, for the release pipelines, I'm facing an issue. This is normally because of your pipeline. So this is something I will do in the backend. My service that I'm trying to connect, right, for the pipelines, agent pools, parallel jobs, or the settings that should go ahead and talk to my service connection. So service connections are not happening properly. So I want to go ahead and drop them, and I want to go ahead and get a new one. So I'm deleting all the unnecessary service principles that are not working. I'm deleting those service principles. Now, this is something you don't need to do. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that my service principles are working. If they are working, I will go ahead and connect and connect them. This service principle is taking time. Okay, so let's keep this. The one service principle which is not working as expected is this one. So let me go ahead and get this service principle done. Yeah, new service principle. There are some previous service principles that are not working properly. So I'm just dropping them to get a new service principle. So let me go back to my project. Under that, my release pipeline. I want to go ahead and handle a release pipeline and tell my release pipeline. The release pipeline, please help me to do a deployment into my account. And as part of this, one more time, let's follow the simple process. Azure DevOps release pipeline. A pipeline that can connect various stages, various releases. This is my dev stage that I want to connect with. Now, as part of it, there is one job that you have to do, is to connect to my account. I'll give you authorization. This time it will get through, guys. One, one. So service connection should be established now. It is taking authorization into my account. Yeah, looks like it did scope itself. Web app on a Linux environment, and hope this time it should be able to, yes, now it is able to recognize one environment. I want to get started this one. So this is my dev as part of the release process. This is my pipeline that I'm targeting. This is a pipeline, and into this pipeline there are various tasks. So this is my dev release task. I want to go ahead and release it. What do I want? I want to happen. What do you want to do a deployment into? So this is my deployment into deploy Azure App Service. So what do you want to deploy? So this is my deploy app service, which I want to Linux environment. Okay. And let me go to the pipeline. I'll also copy the same one, clone, which is for the next one, which is for prod. I want to release prod-release. I want to do same job, same task, but this time instead of dev, I will go ahead and release into production. Everyone are able to relate now? As part of a pipeline, I have a dev release task and I have a prod release task. What are these tasks? The first task is expected to run a job. What is a job? It pulls the environment and deploys into dev environment. So I'm deploying into Azure web app environment. Next pipeline, next stage is about production. I want to go ahead and release into production. In this, there is a job, the name of the job, and I want to go ahead and deploy this into my production, Azure production. So, but at the same time, I want to put a condition that I just don't want everything to just release. I want someone to go ahead and approve this. I want some approval. My manager should approve. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and approve this via my manager. My manager should go ahead and approve it. Then only it should go ahead and release. Otherwise, it will not release. Save. Now the question is, how do you expect all this to happen? This is expected to happen if there is an artifact. How do you go ahead and generate an artifact? Let me go ahead and show you the generation of artifact. So next, participants, this is a pipeline, right? In this pipeline, we are releasing this pipeline. The name of the pipeline releases release pipeline, Azure DevOps release pipeline. Into this release pipeline, we have a pipeline where we have release into dev environment, we have release into prod environment. Now, what I want is I want to have an artifact, which is a build artifact. So it will pull the code from our version control. What is our source build pipeline? Right now, we don't have any source build. So what I want to do is now I want to go ahead and start building this project via my source build pipeline. So right now we don't have any build pipeline. So let me just go ahead and use Azure repo beta 1 and as part of the source repository as soon as the code gets built, I would like to go ahead and take the build default version master. But what would happen every time there is a commit, it will go ahead and build it. No, I don't want to make it happen. So what I want is I want to go ahead and build an artifact where I want to go ahead and make an artifact happening. So for that, what I will do, I'll go to my pipelines and say, hey, let me go ahead and first create a build pipeline. Then I will do a release pipeline. Build pipeline. I want to go ahead and do a build. This is my build pipeline. Save and run. This is my build pipeline. So it is expected to go ahead and handle a job. So it will complete the job process. And you see, parallel jobs are required. That's what I said. Parallel jobs are very much required. Otherwise, you will not be able to do that. Yeah, now you can see parallel jobs are running. Maven build is taking place. Done. So now what I will go ahead and say, hey, for the release pipelines, when I want to do a release, I want to go ahead and make sure this release pipeline happens whenever there is a build project that is happening. There's a build project that is happening. I created a build pipeline. So as now I want this to go ahead and continuous build should be enabled. And this should go ahead and get started as soon as my build is done. So it is expected to trigger this process. Yeah, it is starting. Let's go ahead and do a release. So what I will do now, I will go to my source code and say hello world, add a new line saying that welcome to Azure native DevOps using Azure repos, Azure build pipelines, and Azure build pipeline is done, Azure pipeline is done, Azure release pipeline. Okay, now these are the changes from my side. Git add the changes, Git add the changes from my side. Line entry is done, new line entry is done. Git push these changes as a DevOps engineer from my side origin to the branch master. So now changes are done from my side. So it says, hey, there are already some changes. Okay, no problem. So Git first pull these changes into our local repo before you go ahead and make the changes. Pull these changes and then Git push these changes from the origin into the master. Done. So the changes are done. So participants, because of these changes now, I should be able to see a pipeline getting started. Yeah, pipeline already getting started just now, 4 seconds ago. Beta 1 is a pipeline 4 seconds ago. Once this pipeline is done, we will go ahead and do a release of this pipeline. See, this is the power of Azure native DevOps where everything is integrated. Build is integrated, repos are integrated, release is integrated, everything is integrated. So let me go ahead and one more time put that. So participants, I hope this source code reference with regards to beta 1 is that clear, participants, where we maintain our source code and we maintain our application form.xml file. So what I want to go ahead and build a pipeline where I want to do a build process. So I've created a build pipeline, new pipeline, and I went, picked up the Azure repo and chosen a build pipeline. That is what is about build pipeline. After the build pipeline, I wanted to go ahead and do a release. So for that, I have had a release pipeline. And already release is already started. 717, the release is already started and it's already getting released into dev environment. It's already started to release into the dev environment. So this failure, let's understand what is this failure is all about. So it says no package found with the platform.zip, check if mentioned in the task. So deploy to Azure. So release into the pipeline, but we failed to release that. Why? So let's go ahead and check. It's not able, no package found with this. Why? Because let's go ahead and understand our release process one more time. Edit the pipeline one more time because it's not able to get the source code for what it is looking for. So dev, why you are failing? I'll ask him. So it says, hey, I'm not able to find the system working directory, the zip file. Oh, it is not able to get the zip file out of the build. So if it is not able to get the build file, so let's go ahead and use a var package, then star var package. So let's go and use a var package. Okay, because it said you can use zip or var packages. Let's go ahead and use for the production also. We will go ahead and use, because our packages are of var, it's not of zip. So let's go ahead and save it. Yes. And so anyhow it failed. Let's go ahead and do a release one more time. Release for another version 2.0 by DevOps engineer. Now, participant, things will be better. Let's go ahead and release this code. Git, add all these changes as a DevOps, as a developer. Git, can you commit these changes from my side? Entries added with var packages, because we have created var packages. So git push these changes from your side origin to the branch master. It's done. From the developer side, the changes are done. Let's go ahead and see inside our Azure build pipeline. Did it receive a pipeline? See, entries added with var packages is the build pipeline. We received the build pipeline. So the build pipeline is ongoing. So Maven is already there, participant. You don't need to even install Maven. Maven build pipeline, what we have done, we're using Maven. So it will download Maven, install Maven, and it will run Maven plugins for you, generates the artifact, and releases into release pipeline. So already release has already started. 721 already release started. Now we should expect a good progress in this scenario, people. Yeah, deployment has already began. Okay, so it is saying no package found with specific pattern.var break if you have checked in. So it is failing to get this package, var package, when it is attempting to deploy it. Let's go ahead and check in the pipeline, what it is exactly giving me as part of the pipeline. Job, Maven, post of the job. Let's go ahead and check at the last what it is giving me. Ion.var package. So it is telling me the build var package is available with the target ion.var. This is a package that it is giving me. This package is to be picked by the release code. So let's go ahead and check the release code. Job on a Linux machine. We are running this code. So instead of this, participants, let's use Azure pipelines, hosted Windows with Visual Studio. Start. Let's go ahead and whatever it is, we are deploying via web app Linux system working directory on this. Build one. Yes. Why it is failing? So let's do one thing. Let's use the Azure Open2 latest because I don't want to use Windows one because it's not able to write it. And the same one, I will go ahead and say, hey, when you're running on the agent, don't use Windows 2019. Azure pipelines. Agent, we should be using Windows Open2 latest. Now, just to save time, participants, I will just release it from here itself. Release pipeline, create a release. This is just to save time. Like we have already triggered the changes, so I'm just releasing it from my end. Somewhere, guys, it is home vistas work R1 release 1. Why it is picking R1 var package, and in the pipeline it's picking the entry is being picked post job Maven build. Let's double check participants Maven build job. Downloaded no test results downloaded from central building slash home slash bts work slash aeon.var package. Building var package in 1s slash build. The release process. So I'm able to get to the point why it is not happening. Let's do the changes from here, people. So let's go ahead and run the pipeline from here, and let's see whether it will be able to pull the changes. Release pipeline. So it is trying to look for the log, or it is trying to look for the code from where it can pull this artifact. It is trying to pull that from that location, but it's not able to get to. Okay. So participants,